Good morning, everyone. Christina Simmons from Say Yes to Holiness here. So I am taking care of all of our technology. So one of the biggest things is to go live onto Facebook, and then also to go live on Instagram, which hopefully we're going to be able to work all of this out. So bear with me as I'm doing. Okay. All right, let's see if we can get this party started and get going. Okay, Christina Simmons from Say Yes to Holiness here. And so it looks like I am live. It's being live streamed and it's recording. So I'm super excited. We're a couple of minutes early. So I just want to go ahead and, say how glad I am that everybody is here today. This is going to be phenomenal content that I'm going to be presenting for everybody. And I really hope that it's going to help you be able to craft that unhackable life of freedom and happiness and fulfillment. And as I said, I'm live. Hey, I'm so glad that you're able to jump on. I am streaming on my Facebook page. I'm also live on Instagram, and I am in Zoom for a few people who registered early for this seminar. I sent out the Zoom link yesterday for people to be able to join me so you could get direct contact with me during the call to be able to participate in this Unhackable seminar. So I'm going to be talking about the 4 keys to being unhackable. And one of the biggest things that I want to do is to help you be able to craft that life of freedom and happiness and fulfillment. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be waiting a couple of minutes for people to come into the room here on Zoom. And then also, as I said, I'm live streaming on the Say Yes to Holiness Facebook page. So I am super excited about that as well. So one of the things that I want you to definitely think about doing is that if you have any questions or if you have any comments, that you go ahead and put them into the feed. So for Instagram, I'm hoping that I'm able to follow those. I'm still learning Instagram a bit, but I'm pretty good about Facebook. And then also with Zoom, of course. So if you're in the Zoom call, then I would be able to watch you and to interact with you in Zoom. And then in Facebook, if you got comments, etc., then we would love to hear them. So thanks again for everybody. I want to be very attentive to your time. And that's one of the biggest things about crafting an unhackable life is that we have to be attentive to our big vision. We have to be attentive to what it is that we are about. And I am a certified unhackable coach, speaker, and trainer. And one of the biggest things that I'm excited about is to bring you part of that training. Now, a lot of what I'm going to talk about can be found in the Unhackable book that was written by Carrie Oberbrunner. It was released last October, but this is, I would say, the best layman's entry point into flow, and also how it is that we can be about becoming our best selves, tapping into our human ability for superhuman focus, being able to end procrastination. Can I get an amen about that out there? Not being distracted and becoming 500% more productive. Now, there is so much information that I have to share with everybody that I'm not going to be able to touch on it. It's seriously, so let me see if I can't go ahead and, just move forward here. But the biggest thing is that it's just like the tip of the iceberg. And because of our limited time, there's tons of additional content, but I wanted to really be able to focus and give appropriate time to these 4 keys. So I'm going to talk about 2 of them today and 2 of them on Tuesday, July 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And very simply, in this 2-part seminar, you're going to learn how to make your best ideas come true. You're going to find out how you can tap into your hidden abilities, and then also become 500% more productive in work and life, and then simply live your dream. I'm wearing my little Unhackable t-shirt today. And so I intentionally chose that, but I just want you to take a moment as we're getting started right now, and just take a moment and to think very simply, what would need to happen to make these next 30 days your most amazing month on planet Earth? So as you're doing that, I'm going to see if I can't go ahead and share my screen, so that way you all are able, who are in the Zoom call and are going to watch the replay, that you would be able to watch this. So let's see. Okay. And let me see if I can't share my screen, so that way. Okay. There we go. And sharing. And now let me go ahead and do the slideshow from the present slide. There we go. So again, what would need to happen to make these 30 days your most amazing on planet Earth? So I want you to think about that as we continue to move forward. So for those of you in the Instagram Live and on Facebook, you can go to sayyestoholiness.com and you can sign up for the 2-part live-webinar, and I'm going to be sending out these replays so that way you could see the slides as well. So very simply, I want you to write down 1 to 3 things that come to mind. What would need to happen to make these next 30 days your most amazing on planet Earth? So keep that in mind. So glad everybody's jumping on and joining me this morning. So very simply, what would you do if you had the power to create ideas and implement them effectively? What would you do if you were able to architect your attention and invest it in the things that are important to you? What would you do if you knew how to find and utilize the needed resources to accomplish your dream? And what would you do if you understood how to exponentially increase your impact upon the world, and you were able to organize your life around flow, where you feel your best and you're doing your best? If you're able to do all these things, you would be what we call unhackable. So I just want to share 2 examples of people who applied these principles in their own life. So last year, Tanisha Williams, so she's a beautiful woman, but last year she wanted to lose 35 pounds. She wanted to start writing a book, and she wanted to increase her influence online. She put these principles into place. And what did she do this last year? She lost 60 pounds, mapped out her book, and she became a blogger online, completing a 90-day gratitude series. So talk about, transformation. And she got engaged. So bonus. So just another quick example, so here's her before and after pictures of her weight loss. And then this is what she had posted about New Year, New Me, and picture on the left, and you can read that. But very simply, she did the Elixir Project experience, which is a 30-day full-on one-on-one coaching program that I'm trained to do. But she did that, and that's where she learned how to become unhackable, how to apply these principles that I'm going to share with you today into her life. So, of course, and there is her fiance. So Jeff Kramer, another example. Last year, he wanted to have more clarity. He wanted more focus. He wanted to create an online course. And this year, what he did is he unsubscribed from 140 distracting email lists in order to get more focus. He left 30 Facebook and LinkedIn groups, saved over $900 in unused subscription and membership sites. And then he created his first online course. So again, what would need to happen for you to make these next 30 days your most amazing month on planet Earth? So think about that. Unfortunately, what happens is we get hacked. So what is getting hacked? It's to gain unauthorized access to a system or computer. Now you might be going, Christina, I'm not a computer. I'm not a computer system. I'm a person. So how can I get hacked? Well, just bear with me for a moment. And in all sorts of hacks, you got tons of cybercrime, you got hacktivism, you got cyber espionage, warfare. These are several years old, but the fact is that these percentages have held true for the last 5 years. And the same thing, where are the hacks going? Everybody's trying to figure out, where it is that they're able to get a leg up, especially like in video gaming. By the way, that is a multi-billion-dollar industry now, not just for people playing it, but for people who are competing in it. So that's a huge thing. And then where is it that people are, that hacking is going on? Industry, single people, government organizations, you can see the breakdown. So it's across the board in all areas of our life. Well, very simply, to gain unauthorized access to a system or computer, we too have been hacked. And what do I mean by that? Well, your body is made up of systems. Your brain's like a computer. We have the skeletal, muscular, circulatory, digestive, urinary, nervous, reproductive, lymphatic, endocrine, and respiratory systems. Our brain, okay, acts like a computer. In fact, in the New York Times, in an article in June of 2015, they actually specifically talked about this, that your brain is a computer. And neuroscientists talk about this all the time. So what's the cost, let alone our dreams, those things that, we say we want to do and we don't get around to doing? What's the cost of us getting hacked? Well, here's the average hacked brain. Welcome everybody. If you got any comments or anything that you want, please make sure that you put them in the comments, and I'll get to those questions at the end, but I want to get through this content and be attentive to your time. So what's the average hacked brain? Well, very simply, the cost of getting hacked constantly is that 84% of us are stressed, 67% of us are burned out, 67% of us are disengaged, 70% are chronically distracted, 53% of us are unhappy at work, and 43% of us lack clarity. So what's the difference between an average hack brain and an unhackable brain? Because I want to make it very clear what happens when we put these principles into place and what the benefits are. Very simply is that we have a fixed mindset in our hack brain, okay? In an unhackable brain, we have a growth mindset. We are focusing upon what it is that we need to be about. So we're in our hack brain, we're self-oriented. What happens is that we are not being attentive to what it is that we need and our ideas. We say we want to do something, but then we get distracted and we get focused on ourselves. So in an unhackable brain, we're idea-oriented. We are focused upon those things that we need in order to make our life better. So our hack brains, it opposes our biology. In other words, we're always constantly fighting against the way that our bodies, our brains want to work. An unhacked brain is leveraging our biology. We're creating that time and that space so that we're able to get into flow. Our hack brain, we're fueled by stress. We're limited by our beliefs. We live as a consumer. We see obstacles. We're absent-minded. Anyone lose their keys lately or forget what you wanted to, you go into a room and you forget what you were doing there? All of these are signs of a hacked brain. So an unhackable brain is fueled by flow. You're propelled by your belief. You live as a creator. You're seeing opportunity constantly around you, and you are intensely present to all people that are around you, as well as what it is that you are about. So Again, just continuing, this differences. So a hack brain, you're all about hustle, you're reactive, you're time focused, you're busy. You have random and rare occurrences of where you feel like you're at your best and when you're in flow. You're rushed and you're stressed. You're using your brain to store information and you're living in a constant struggle, it seems like. When we're unhackable, we're being intentional, we're being strategic, we're being results focused. We're being purposeful. We're doing consistent and systematic flow where we are at our best selves. We're using our brain to think, not just store information, but to think. And we're relaxed and composed. And more than half of our day is spent in flow. So again, what does this all come into for all of those out there who like statistics? Here you go. For a hacked brain, you have 2.3 hours of work in a day that you get done. Half of your day, half a day each week, you duplicate work that you did during the week. You do 36 email checks per hour. You have 56 disruptions during the day. You have 36 hours of unnecessary meetings, 11 minutes of focus. It only gives you 11 minutes of focus. And unfortunately, 44% of our distractions are self-inflicted. We're looking to distract ourselves. An unhackable brain. 6+ hours of flow per day where you're doing your best work as your best self. You're not duplicating your work, you're not duplicating your hours. You check email once a day, you batch it 3 days a week. You have 0 disruptions during the day. You are continuously doing communication intentionally for 90-minute blocks per day of focus, and you're not distracting yourself. You're not inflicting, you're not looking for the first thing to jump out. So very simply, the biggest thing is that statistically, when we're walking around and we are hacked, we are barely getting anything done. I think all of us can identify with this. So unhackability, in this world of increasing distractions, unhackability is the new secret weapon of super achievers in every area. And if you want to learn more, you can go to unhackablesaints.com. So what are the 4 keys to becoming hackable? Well, 1, it's to unveil your story. We have to unveil it. We have to know where it is that you are supposed to be and who it is that you are. Second is flawless idea anatomy. Once you know who you are, what you are, and where you are, and you've unveiled your vision, your story, then it's about what are the ideas that are going to bring that into your reality. Then it's about cultivating deliberate magnetic focus so that you can accomplish all of these things. And finally, that optimal human performance or flow. These are the 4 keys. So again, when you get hacked, we have to begin, and this is a part of what what I do when I do coaching. So just to kind of give you a little preview, little sampling, is the first thing that we have to do in order to unveil our story. We have to identify the culprit. Who is it that is hacking us? How are you getting hacked? So there's all sorts of things. Most likely it's in our minds. Others won't approve. The economy is bad. I don't have the time. There are too many distractions. I don't have the money, or nobody will promote me. There's all these different reasons that we come up with for why it is that we're not getting the life that we desire. We're not living the life of freedom and happiness and fulfillment that we are seeking, that we're longing for. And we have all these different things that are wandering around in our mind for reasons why it is that we aren't getting it done, or you don't have a team. Well, we have 2 choices. We can lay in our beds with blaming others, having excuses, and denying all the many reasons of how it is. We can play victim. We can lay in our bed and be a victim. Or what we can do is that we can pick up our OAR, O-A-R, our OAR, okay? And this is, we can be a victor. And OAR stands for we can take ownership, accountability, and responsibility for our lives. And that's one of the first things that we have to do, is that we have to identify the culprit. And the culprit invariably is us. We have to take ownership of that. We have to take accountability for our time. We have to take responsibility for what it is and how it is that we are going about and engaging in our day. So what's a hack attack look like? And I'm sharing this so that way you guys can identify, because you might be going, Christina, I'm not the one who's responsible. I mean, it's other people, it's other things that are going on, and something happens, and it's like, but then you're thinking, well, maybe, there's something there, there's something here. Maybe I can take some ownership, but I get hacked, and this is what happens. So just as an aside, car hacking now is a real risk. I mean, they've done all sorts of studies on it. They've had, TV reporters who have been in a car and they've hacked the car, and it's a real thing. So what happens when we get hacked is very similar to when a car gets hacked, which is we get loss of control. We're no longer in control of our lives. We don't feel like we're in control. We don't have clarity anymore. We now are confused and we're not focused. We no longer feel like we're competent to be able to do whatever it is that we have to do. We lose our confidence because we don't feel competent. And then we lose our ability to have insights into how it is that we're supposed to address what it is that we are addressing. And we feel like we lose our influence, our impact, and it impacts our income. So again, what is all of this about? So when we experience a hack attack and we experience that loss of control, we're thinking, I'm not in charge. When we lose that clarity, we think, I am confused. When we are, losing competence, we think, I'm not good enough. When we lose confidence, we think, I'm an imposter. I'm not supposed to be here. Who am I? When we lose insight, we have no inner vision. When we lose our influence, we feel like we have no effect on others. When we lose our impact, we feel like we have no credibility. And when we lose our income, we feel like we have no currency, like we have nothing to offer to anyone. This is what goes on, is that when we get hacked, we feel like we're nobody and we got nothing. So who I am, nobody, that it's the first four of those, loss of control, clarity, competence, and confidence. It's all about I'm nobody. And then what I have is nothing. And that addresses we have no insight, influence, impact, or income. This is what a hack attack looks like. So what's the cost? I already kind of gave you a comparison, gave you a bunch of statistics, a comparison between a hacked brain and an unhacked brain. And very simply, what's at stake if you get hacked? Well, your relationships. You're not able to spend time. Your peace. Talk about stress. Talk about worry. Success. Your health and your freedom. Your purpose. Your finances. Your legacy. What's the legacy that you're leaving? Your joy and your reputation. All of these are impacted in a negative way when we are consistently getting hacked each and every day. Our relationships suffer. We don't feel peace. We don't feel joy. We don't feel like we have purpose. Our health suffers. How many of us are walking around with, inflammation and stress related, issues? The onset of diabetes is a huge one. All the addictions, the depression, all of the mental health challenges that we have, all of these are byproducts of everyone getting hacked. So let's talk about, very simply though, let's look at the positives. How can you make your best ideas come true? So I wanted to share something very briefly. So when you were a kid and you'd be out, anyone ever do the, practice wands and abracadabra? Well, with Harry Potter coming to the scene, more than 20 years ago now. Wow. Yeah. More than 20 years ago. Everyone started wandering around with a wand, and, and of course they would use, use the words, Wingardium Leviosa, but the fact is that abracadabra has been a part of our culture, our human culture, for millennia. And in fact, abracadabra goes back to I create as I speak. In the Hebrew, it means I create what I speak, which makes sense. Abracadabra, I want X to happen. So as I speak it, I want to create it. Well, God does this. This is what it is to be a part of the creative process. This is the true understanding of what being an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is not just associated with business. An entrepreneur is someone who is seeking to be a part of the creative process, to take ideas and to make them real. And this is what abracadabra is. It's I create what I speak. Well, in Genesis, we see in chapter 1, verses 26 through 31 in particular, that we are made in God's image and likeness. We are created. We are created to be able to be a part of the creative process because we have been made in God's image. We have been designed from the very beginning to be taking ideas, creative ideas, and make them real in the world. This is what we've been designed to do because we're made in God's image and likeness. It is our divine destiny. So the idea of ideation, to create ideas and to implement them, to bring them to reality, this is what human life is about. We are idea factories, for goodness sakes. Okay. So how many of us walk through the day and don't have an idea about what to do, how to do it, or when to do it, or where to do it, or something like that? All of us do. All of us do. So the fact is that we're an idea factory. We dream and then we do. And this is what we are supposed to do. We're supposed to do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. We're supposed to dream and do, dream and do, dream and do. We're supposed to ideate and implement, ideate and implement, ideate and implement. We're supposed to be just like that idea factory. We're full of those ideas, but we're not doing them. We're not implementing them. This is what's going on when we get hacked, is that we stop being the factory. Instead, our depraved reality right now is that we have ideas and they stagnate. They go to the equivalent of the Dead Sea and they never leave anywhere and they die. Can I get an amen out there? How many of us have had ideas and was like, oh, I want to write a book, or, oh, I want to go walk the Camino in Spain, or, oh, I want to learn how to play the piano, or there's tons of different things, and they stagnate. And then what happens? We get frustrated and we get angry. Not only that, but we live in a world of constant distractions. A couple of statistics for you. All right. So all of us have our phones. My phone is being used right now for this Instagram live. So the fact is that our phones, 2,617 touches a day. That's the average. Okay. For heavy users, 5,427 touches. So more than 2,500 times we're reaching out to touch our phone, pick it up, look at it, do something on it. Okay. More than 5,000 for heavy users. Okay. Our phones are important, but my goodness, talk about distraction. Every time we pick up our phone, we look at an app. It equals 5 hours a day, a third of our waking hours, a third of our waking hours. And half of our uses are less than 30-second bursts. We're checking our watches, smart watches. So statistically, it comes out that on an average day, most people are experiencing distracted work far more regularly than deep work. We're always being distracted. We're always checking. Oh, did I get an email? Oh, did this, oh, that, notification came through. Oh, I need to jump into this conversation. Oh, that meeting's happening. Okay. So the distractions, what happens is that it comes out into reality. 23.5 billion in video games in 2015, and that has only skyrocketed during the pandemic. 11 billion hours is spent watching videos on Netflix every month. Again, skyrocketed during the pandemic. I don't have the statistics yet because I haven't been able to run them yet. But the fact is, we can just intuit the fact that it's got to be much more than that. Average person sees 5,000 ads a day. And every time that we are online and we're on our phones and we are immersed in anything, we are seeing ads. Just alone for our food, we're making 226.7 food decisions a day. All of this leads to what's known as decision fatigue. We just get tired. But very simply, Carrie, great quote, a life of distractions will never produce a life of meaning. Do you want a life of meaning? Yeah, we all do. So many times what we do is that the world tells us we should be multitasking, right? We can read our email and we can watch a TV show and we can, be reading something else and preparing a presentation all at the same time, right? We all get good at multitasking. Let me tell you, multitasking, I used to be a master at multitasking, and I can tell you, since I no longer multitask, my work, my productivity, my focus is just phenomenal, so it's one of those, understand, not having a phone is a huge piece, but we need to be, attentive to the fact of we can have phones, but use them as the tool that they are, not as the distraction that they have become. So multitasking, it is a myth, okay? Every time we switch from task to task, we decrease our productivity 40%. Why? Because we got cognitive load going on. Our mind is still thinking about the task that we left behind, even though we think we didn't leave it, that we left it behind, we're focused on something else. But no, the cognitive load is still there. So it decreases our productivity by 40%. Our decreased IQ, this is the one that totally floored me, okay? Our decreased IQ is the equivalent, because of the cognitive load, when we're multitasking, it's the equivalent of us driving drunk. It's like we are stoned. We would never think to get behind a car if we were, had 5 beers, but yet that's the equivalent of how our brain is operating when we are multitasking. So all this sounded familiar, everybody? Okay. So wish you could finish projects. Do you struggle with distractions? Are your dreams and goals always getting pushed aside? Well, solution, again, unhackable. Become unhackable, unhackability. And it consists of 3 parts, 2 of which I'm going to deal with today. And then the second one is going to be on Tuesday, July 6th, because flow is so important. So I want to talk about our idea and focus. So Gary Obrunner, I talked about this before for those of you who are just jumping on. In his book, Unhackable, it's like the layman's guide to being able to figure out a solution to this problem. And what he did is that he dove deep into neurobiology, he dove deep into productivity, high performance, success, science, technology, lots of other disciplines, extensive research, and what emerged was Unhackable. And I can tell you right now, because I'm working with the guys at the Flow Research Collective and also Unhackable, that Unhackable is a perfect place for you to get that entry point, to be able to apply it into your life with the simple principles. And it's all based in science. It's all based in all the, the studies that have been done that tell us that this is how we are designed and need to be living. So first is idea. Going back to that concept about abracadabra. I create as I speak. This is what we're supposed to be about. It came to pass as it was spoken. We are designed to be a part of creation and the creative process. We were created literally in the image and likeness of God in order to take part in this. So just as God said, let there be light, we have the opportunity to be able to bring into creation as a part of creation. We have been given that unique gift to be able to participate in that process. So ideas, very simply, they don't change the world, but perfect ideas do. So imagine dissecting the perfect idea, identifying those components, mastering the mechanics, and then reverse engineering the process and leveraging those results. If you crack the code and discovered that truth, then anything is possible. And that's what ideation is all about. Flawless idea anatomy is all about this. It's the idea that we are given in the great speeches of all time. Martin Luther King in his I Have a Dream speech gave us this idea anatomy. You know, Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount gives us this idea anatomy. And President John F. Kennedy in his, dream to go to space, in the same way, all three of them. So, all of them had the three components of flawless idea anatomy. And that's a part of what we talk about, in Unhackable. So very simply, how do you tap into your hidden abilities? How do you tap into your focus? But just very quickly, let me back up a second. And I started to do this, and then I forgot to do it because I hit it. So when we are our flawless idea anatomy, very simply, okay, is that we look at what is it that we envision? What's our promise? How is it that we're going to track the progress? How is it that we're going to be able to then set aside the time and set aside the space? And when we do that, when we give the clear vision of what our idea is about, then people are motivated to go and to do it. And just as I was saying, Martin Luther King Jr. and I Have a Dream, Jesus, of course, in the Sermon on the Mount, giving us the Beatitudes, and a Man on the Moon. So it's important for us to remember that these components of, we need to be very intentional about listing out those components of our idea in order to be able to make it happen. So how can we tap into our hidden abilities, which is all about what deliberate magnetic focus is about? So just very simply, so just like we get a sunburn, okay, the fact is that we too have the ability to focus. It's called the reticular activating system, the RAS, okay? And the RAS is a part in our brain which takes all the input that we get, from our eyes and our ears and our touch and pain and temperature receptors, okay? And all goes into our brain. And what happens is that the RAS acts as a filter. So our conscious mind, okay, processes only 40 to 200 bits of information a second. Our unconscious mind is processing more than 4 billion bits of information a second. And our RAS is responsible for filtering all of this out. It's what's known as our mind's eye. So very simply, nothing, okay, ever goes my way. You're ever thinking that nothing ever goes my way, or the whole world's against me? I'm a loser. I feel like I always do. When we have these thoughts in our mind, okay, then what happens is that then our RAS begins to filter things that happen in our life in this way. So we're always going to find that things never go our way. We're going to find, or we're going to feel like the whole world is against us. We're going to think that we're a loser, or we're going to think that we failed like we always do, because we're looking for that confirmation of these mindsets, of these ideas in the world around us, and our RAS will find them. But in the same way, our RAS will find whatever it is that we're thinking about. How many of you have ever gone out and bought a new car, for example? So in my slides, I've got a picture of the brand new Hummer, okay? And by the way, they're doing them electrical now, but a brand new Hummer, and you go out and you buy whatever new car it is, okay? And then all of a sudden you're driving around and you see them everywhere. Is this the case? Can I get an amen there? Or how about it is that you're pregnant, or your wife is pregnant, and then all of a sudden everybody's pregnant. Everywhere you look, there's a pregnant person, okay? This is how our RAS is working, is that when we become attentive and focused upon something, then we see it everywhere. And this is what our mind's eye does for us. This is what the RAS does for us. This is how we become deliberately focused. This is how it becomes a magnetic focus of when we are focused upon that idea, which we have fully fleshed out. Then we start seeing possibilities to be able to bring it into creation, to make it reality everywhere. This is what the RAS does. So we put the unconscious mind to work for us in seeing connections and seeing resources and seeing all sorts of things that are all around us to make it happen. So you don't focus on attracting into your life what you want. Instead, you focus on what's already all around you. Everything that you need in order to live the life of your dreams, to live that life of freedom, happiness, and fulfillment is already all around you. You just can't see it. So this is what we do, is that we retool it, we re-engineer it, and we get focused, and we allow our RAS to do the work for us. So when we open up our mind's eye, then we see everything that we need in order to implement our ideas. So for example, all of my apostolate is all about helping people, be able to become the saints that God created us to be. Everything that we need in order to make this happen in our life is already present in our life. God has given us all the gifts, the talents, the resources, everything that we need in order to become the saint that he created us to be. But so often we don't see it. And often we don't do the things that we need to be about, okay, in order to bring that about, those four, the 4 steps to holiness, the habits that we need to cultivate in our life. But then also it's all of our limiting beliefs, because we're like, oh, I can't be a saint. I'm not Saint Francis of Assisi. I'm not, Mother Teresa of Calcutta. I can't go and do whatever it is that all the different saints have done. God's not asking you to. God's asking you to be who you are, what you are, where you are, to the fullest of your ability, to be fully who he created you to be. And it's possible. But we have to have the idea in our head that it is possible. We have to believe it, and we have to be focused upon it, and we have to live it out. And we have to craft our lives so that way we can do this. So this is what I do, is that I help people be able to take all of these ideas of what Unhackable speaks about all of what the Flow Research Collective and many, many other researchers out there, all the human performance specialists. I help people do it and specifically apply it to their spiritual life. But what happens is that when we apply it to our spiritual life, it impacts everything. It impacts all of our life. It impacts our human, the aspect, it impacts our relationships. It impacts our physical health. It impacts, our exercise. It impacts everything. And it impacts, our capacity intellectually for, being able to learn new ideas and to bring ideas to fruition. And it also helps us be able to be that saint, to become more and more that saint that God created us to be. And that's what our apostolic calling is. Our apostolic calling is nothing more than to live out the very life that God created us for. But so often we are distracted. We don't have time. We think that we can't do it. So there's 3 focus filters to help us be able to really cultivate that deliberate magnetic focus. So there's 3 of them, and those 3 are urgency, agency, and action. And urgency is about you getting yourself a deadline. When is it that I'm going to make this happen by? Now, sometimes we don't make that deadline. That's very true. Okay. So for example, when I was writing my book, okay, I had a deadline of, I had, had cleared, so 2 summers ago, I had cleared my entire summer so that I could finish my book, I could get it published, and it would be out in 2019. And what happened? I had my summer cleared. I'm beginning that. And my mom had a stroke, a massive stroke. And it was something of where I can look back now and can see that God used my desire to bring my book into creation, used my desire in order to have me clear that time. Because if I hadn't been actively taking those steps up to that point, then I wouldn't have had the time that I needed in order to go and to be with my mom, and for her to come and live with us for 4 months until God, God be blessed, she's now doing okay. She's recovered enough that she's actually living independently. She's within a community of where there's kind of like safety nets, somebody checks on her each day, that kind of thing, but she's able to, live in her own apartment. She has her own life and she chooses what she does. And, she goes, praise God. But I wouldn't have had that time. So my urgency, my time deadline, okay, got shifted. But the fact is that I adjusted it. And then that's where agency comes into play. Agency is about us bringing all of the resources that we have into the conversation, so that way, what happens is that we are choosing, what are we filling our minds and our hearts with? What is the information that we're putting into our minds and our hearts? Is it helping us towards our goal, or is it distracting us? And this is where aligning our agency, okay, us choosing, comes into play. And then finally, it's that action. It's us, setting that deadline. It's about us having, what it is that we need, again, in order to be able to bring it to fruition. So we're aligning our energy, we're aligning our, all of what it is that we need to be about, aligning our lives, and so that we are able to take that action. And when we're focused this way, when we have that sense of urgency, when we are defining what it is that we're bringing into our world, and how it is that it's helping us, being about our idea, our desires, and we're taking action towards it, our RAS is finding all the resources and it's all happening. So long story short, what happened is that I ended up being able to get my book done, but it was in the following spring. And then this year, it was published last July. In fact, it was published in the midst of my having COVID for 6 weeks. So it was something of where, and when I had COVID, by the way, it's a nasty little bug. And for my husband and I, we could choose literally one thing a day that we had enough energy to do. And that one thing a day took us all day to be able to do. So it's like, if I wanted to write a blog post, that was all I did all day long. But the fact is that my book and finishing my book was so important that was the one thing that I focused on. That was the one thing that I did, that I put all of my energy, time, and effort into. And so glad that everybody was able to join me here on Instagram. So if you got any comments or questions, please let me know. So I'm kind of winding down for what it is that we're talking about today. And so one of the biggest things is that I wanted to bring out for everybody the reality that each of us, okay, has the capacity to become unhackable. Every single one of us has the capacity to become unhackable. And today we talked about what the costs are. The costs are enormous. The costs are so high for us, of our relationships being impacted, our, losing peace, how successful we are, our health, our ability to, our finances, our, there's so much that is being impacted because we're getting hacked. So the very simple and basic, thing that I want to kind of end with today, okay, is the fact that you need to be attentive to your coming to know yourself more fully, so that way you are able to start this process, so that you're able to start crafting the life that you desire, because it begins in our mind. It's about ideation. We are idea factories. Each and every one of you has an idea or something that only you can do. It's unique and unrepeatable to you. How is that possible? Because there's only one you, and only one you who is what you are. where you are in this particular time and place. God has created you to be able to share that with the world. And when you don't share that with the world, we are less. We as people, we as the world as a whole are less. This is why I became an unhackable coach, is because I so firmly believe that we are less when you and I are not our best selves, when we are not being holy. That's all holiness is. Holiness is to be transformed into the fullness of who we were created to be. That's what holiness is about. And when we are on that journey towards holiness, when we're allowing God to transform us more and more fully into who it is that he created us to be, then we are completely on fire. And this is actually, there's numerous quotes throughout history about the fact of when we are who we are supposed to be, we will set the world ablaze. We will set the world on fire. And that's what we're supposed to be about. So I'm hoping that today this has helped you be able to identify how it is that you're getting hacked. I hope that this has helped you identify the next steps that you need to take. And next time we're going to continue to talk about how it is that you can take those ideas and take that knowledge about your hidden abilities and be able to implement them by becoming highly productive, okay, 500% more, productive. Actually, some statistics actually say it's more than that when we are crafting our lives around flow. And this helps us live our dreams. This is what helps us live that unhackable life of freedom and happiness and fulfillment. So what's the two things that I want to do? So for all of you who have been here today, what I want to do is I want to invite you, okay, to, if you're in the Zoom call, okay, or on Facebook, what I want you to consider doing is dropping a comment, just with, hey, yeah, I'd like a free gift. And so what I'm going to do right now is that I'd like to go ahead, and if you are on Instagram, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to reach out, send me a message, okay? Send me a message saying, yeah, I'd like a free gift. And then what's going to happen is that I'm going to post a link for a free gift, but I'll give you the link right now. It's called unhackablecatholics.com/gift. Okay. So it's unhackablecatholics.com/gift. All right. And what that'll do is that will get you to the page that will allow you to get both a free unhackability assessment and a free flow trigger assessment. Okay. So I want you to go and to take both of those assessments. And then I want you to sign up for a free consultation with me, a free 15-minute consultation with me to talk about your results. No sales, no nothing. Okay. But free 15-minute consultation of where I'll talk to you about your results. So again, that's unhackablecatholics.com/gift. Okay. So I've talked to you guys. So that's my free gift for all of you who've jumped in here. Now, for those of you who want to go deeper, you're like, I really know that I have something that I want to do, and but I'm really not quite sure what it is. I'm not sure what my purpose is. I'm not quite sure what motivates me. I've got one assessment, another assessment. This one is a small cost, but it's the M code. The M code, the motivation code assessment, is designed in order to be able to help you be able to identify your core motivations. What is it that truly inspires you and encourages you to be able to go and do what it is that is deeply satisfying and fulfilling in your work and your life. It's $47. And what it does is that it gives you, the assessment, but this is different from any assessment that you've taken because it's rooted in your story. It's rooted in your stories of things that you remember doing well, that you think you did well, you enjoy doing and brought you deep satisfaction. And it's from those stories that you are then asked questions for this assessment. And what that does is it reveals your spiritual thumbprint. It reveals the essence of your core motivations. And what happens is that you're going to be given a report, full on 20-page report that has your motivational themes. It describes how these motivations sometimes show up in shadow sides, okay, and how they prevent you, again, from being able to be, so they prevent you, they hack you, okay? Even our own core motivations, when they're out of whack, can hack us, prevent us, but they help you understand your own motivations. They help you be able to reveal what is it that motivates you? What really gets you jazzed? What's your motivational energy? And again, it helps you identify that shadow side. What are the things that you tend to get hacked by, within that you naturally are getting hacked by? But it also gives you access to the entire M-Code video library, which talks about the power of your stories, how to really apply your M-Code profile, and understanding the science of how motivation works, and then all 27 motivations, because there's 27 different motivations. Everybody has a different recipe, different way that we're all put together. But I invite you to go and to do that. And in order to to go and find that assessment, to order that assessment, go to sayyestoholiness.com and then click on movement. So if you want the straight on, link, it's sayyestoholiness.com/the-movement. And when you scroll down, you're going to see purchase your assessment, motivation code, motivational blueprint now. And then finally on that page also is, for those of you, we've been talking and you've heard me speaking about the fact that there's this 30-day program, deep dive into all of what it is to be unhackable. And one of the biggest things is that if you want to dive in right now, if you want to go all in, and then you get 30 days of video training, you get the guidebook for every day, you get one-on-one weekly coaching with me during that 30 days. And also you get to be, you get a special additional training sessions of how to take the Unhackable training and apply it into your life. So you get the coaching, you get the additional seminars. If you want to do that, go and check it out. Also, you can get access to it by going to sayyestoholiness.com/the-movement. And when you do that, right next to the motivation code, your motivational blueprint is become unhackable, purchase the course now, and you'll be able to do that. And then we would connect together and we would get you going for the next month, so that this 30 days, remember when I asked you at the beginning, what would it take in order for this next 30 days to be the most amazing on planet Earth? And you can find out. And those examples of Tanisha and Jeff and how they took these principles of Unhackable and applied them in their life and the transformations that they experienced, is possible for all of us. So I invite you to check that out and to do that. But at a minimum, enjoy those free gifts. So go to unhackablecatholics.com/gift and take your unhackability and your flow trigger assessments today. Sign up for a free 15-minute consultation with me. And I look forward to spending time with all of you again next time. And I just want to take a moment now to go ahead and see if there are any questions. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording for those people that I send out the recording. And those links are in the Zoom call chat. to get there. So I appreciate that very much, Riddick, for posting those for me. So I'm going to go ahead and pause and take a moment, see whether or not anybody has any comments or any questions. And I have so enjoyed our time together this morning. So everyone, have a blessed day. And because I'm not seeing any other comments. And again, I'm trying to be very attentive to your time. I said that this wouldn't be more than an hour. We're actually 5 minutes under. So hopefully you have found that this time has served you well. So I'm going to go ahead. Again, stop recording. God bless. Don't forget, go to unhackablecatholics.com/gift. Take those free assessments. Book your 15-minute consultation with me today. And if you want to go deeper, go and check out the M code at sayyes-to-holiness.com/the-movement, or sign up for the 30-day course right now. Make this next 30 days totally amazing. And even so, if you're not ready for that, then I look forward to seeing all of you back here on Tuesday, for our second Tuesday, July 6th at 8 p.m. for our follow-up session. So have a blessed day. My time's running out on Instagram as well. So I'll be signing off.